What's up, everyone? It's Caddy with Money Investing. Welcome on board for yet another Market Open live stream. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys can see me and hear me. We should be all set. So, welcome on board. The markets are okay. We got the Nasdaq ETF up a little bit over 10 basis points. We got the SPY ETF up over 0.5%. The Dow Jones ETF up over 76 basis points. So, overall, not a bad start to the day, but of course, we know how quickly things can change in the market. So we did see a little bit of a sell-off here pre-market, which I also shared with our Discord members, and how much we were down a little bit close to, I think, over 1% from top to bottom. But right now we are starting to see that recovery back up. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you guys. We got the volatility just about down 5%, just under 30 levels. We did do some buying here pre-market, sent out the alerts for a few stocks here in the morning, and we are ready. We are ready to continue to buy if the markets sell off, and if they do end up rallying higher, that's more than better for us. But I know there's a lot of stocks that are selling off here pre-market. I think last time I checked Tesla, it was under $1,000. So we're back up, recovering a little bit. So right at $1,000 at the time of this live stream, and of course down about 1.27%. But I think we were down trading as low as 985 or 975, around those levels pre-market as well. So let's just quickly go over our December 2021 calendars. So again, for this week, we've got inflation. That's going to be very, very important. Comes out on Friday, December 10th. That's going to be the consumer price index, so CPI and core CPI as well, at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So I'll see if I can actually do a live stream. Not fully sure if I'll be able to do that because I do have a flight out from Manchester back to New Delhi on Friday morning. So may not be able to do that live stream, but I'll still keep you guys updated, over at our Discord and what those numbers look like, and of course how the markets are reacting to that as well. So that's the most important thing. Then the following week on Tuesday, we've got the PPI numbers, so producer price index, manufacturing index, core PPI as well. And then, of course, we got the Jerome Powell speech, the Fed meeting on December 15th. That's a Wednesday, and the summary of economic projections as well. This right here is going to be the earnings week. I've already discussed this. We got ChargePoint reporting tomorrow, along with Dave & Buster's, Stitch Fix, Sentinel One. And then later this week, we've got companies like Lovesac, GameStop, UiPath, and then, of course, Chewy's reporting, Hormel Foods, Costco, Broadcom, Oracle. All of them are going to be reporting later this week as well. Joel's numbers come out on Wednesday, December 8th. And then, of course, CPI, as I just mentioned earlier, Friday, December 10th is also coming out. So this was an interesting article. So why a fearful stock market invested in Apple like it was a bond. So we covered our flight to quality concept and how when there's a lot of risk, a lot of uncertainty, investors tend to move towards safer stocks or safer in terms of bonds. That's why bond prices were higher, bond yields were coming down. And Apple, you remember that one day when the entire market was red and Apple was the only stock that was up over 3%? I think, we saw significant flight to quality on that day because Apple, with the strong cash flows, strong earnings, strong revenue growth, everything's just, beautiful for Apple's fundamentals. That's why a lot of people just flocked over to this company. So going over some of the upgrades and downgrades on Wall Street, we got Morgan Stanley initiating coverage of Rivian as overweight. Morgan Stanley said Rivian is the one company that can challenge Tesla, and they are actually putting an overweight rating on the stock. RBC raises price target on Tesla to $950 from $800. HSBC upgrades Meta platforms to hold from reduce. You got Goldman Sachs initiating coverage on Rivian as well, and they put a neutral right now, and said that the stock's valuation is full right now, meaning that it's trading at fair value, in other words, for the company. That's why hence a neutral rating on the stock. JP Morgan initiates coverage of Grab Holdings as overweight, puts a price target of $12.50 on December 2022 on the company with an overweight rating as well. We've got Cowen names Micron as a top pick. For the most part, Micron, ticker symbol MU, has obviously been trading at a very, very low valuation for the most half of this year, but recently it's seen a nice rally higher. You got KeyBank initiating coverage of Apple as overweight. We got JP Morgan reiterating Netflix as overweight. Cowen upgrades Boston Beer. So Sam, this stock has obviously been selling off quite a bit. Ever since they reported their earnings, I think it's down like 50 or 60% from its all-time highs. But they believe that the beer company, that the valuation re-rating is likely complete, and market performance can be more than likely with the market as well. All right, so city names Nvidia as a top pick, 2022 pick. So that's great. Nvidia obviously trades at a very high valuation in general, but still they're putting a very nice top pick on Nvidia for 2022. Amgen, obviously the valuation is really low. Next 12 months P multiple at 11.3, which is very low, 50% discount to the S&P 500. That's why they see this stock as at a discount as well. Wedbush downgrades Chewy to neutral from outperformed. Then we got Cowen names MasterCard as a top pick as well, and they said that they would be an aggressive buyer of MasterCard at these levels. I think Visa kind of fits in that same category. They're more likely to kind of same at the similar valuation for the most part. And this right here, a major shift is underway at the Federal Reserve that could see a speedier end to its easy policy. So we already talked about how the Fed is going to be discussing somewhat of an accelerated taper next week on December 15th, and that's really what's going to move the markets, along with the inflation report, along the unemployment we already got last week, and then of course we've got the SEAP, that's the summary of economic projections, also coming out. So all that very important. If they do end up accelerating to taper, the market will probably start pricing in another rate hike in 2022. So from 2, maybe we go up to 3. And of course, in that summary of economic projections, we'll get the dot plot, which includes the Fed members and their forecast for interest rate hikes as well. So all of that is going to be very important, not just for the US market, but for global markets as well. So going over to some of the stocks here, like I said, SPY, QQQ, the Dow really pushing higher pre-market here. Not bad, just recovering a little bit to the upside. We got VIX slightly down under 30, and we got Ethereum, Bitcoin still selling off a little bit. So Bitcoin's down over 2% right now. Next support is at 30,000. And this was some of the pullback that we were anticipating from the get-go. Right when we sold Mara, right when we sold Coinbase, we exited those positions for a reason. And that reason was, number one, our price targets were achieved. Number two, Bitcoin was a little bit, stretched in terms of the technical levels that you're watching. And 67,000, great new all-time high. And right now we're down close to a little bit over 29-30%. So about a third of its valuation for Bitcoin has come down. So watching 42,000 next, 42 to $43,000. And as I said, Mara obviously was down 15% on Friday. Pre-market it's down another 8.7%. Started a very small position and sent out the alerts for this as well. For this one, because I do expect, as Bitcoin and Ethereum will recover from the sell-off, then of course a lot of the mining stocks will be recovering as well. So Riot was down over 13% on Friday. It's down another 8% today. MicroStrategy was down 7% on Friday, down another 7% today. CleanSpark was down over 14% on Friday, down under 9.7, almost 10% pre-market today. So a lot of the Bitcoin stocks, Bitcoin mining stocks, if you take a look at BITO, so Bitcoin strategy ETF that mostly invests in futures and contracts that kind of track Bitcoin's movement, down about 6.6% Friday, down another 9% right now. And then GBTC, right? That's the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. I was down 7.8% on Friday, down under 10% pre-market right now. So, of course, crypto-related stocks, cryptocurrency in general, under a lot of pressure. Dogecoin, unfortunately, is now just over 16 cents trading at the moment right now. So, NEO is flat, down about, just in the green, up over 90 basis points. And we'll just open up our 4 split screens, and then we'll take a look at some individual companies here shortly. And we'll take a look at your comments as well. So the liquidations on cryptos were huge. Yes, so I did read up on that, Glenn. Thanks for pointing that out. That article where a lot of the whales were kind of liquidating and moving away from some of the riskier assets over to safer assets. I think one of the reasons why we did see some type of a sell-off, and any type of forced liquidation because of margin or leverage levels going higher, I think is obviously not good, because it forces accelerated selling pressure. That's why we see a lot of long wicks for cryptocurrency, right? You see this big sell-off on that day when it drops all the way down to 42,000 and then quickly recovers back up. Same thing with Ethereum, like just a huge sell-off all the way down to 3,300 before us recovering back over $4,000. So, if you go over to the 30-minute chart, you'll notice how quickly this happens, right? This has happened a lot, right? If you look at the patterns for cryptocurrencies, this has happened quite a few times. This is not the first time it's happened. Many times you'll see that happen because of the leverage that's already in that marketplace, and some of the forced liquidation that we go over for some of these brokerages, right? That they have to do to kind of keep up with the margin maintenance for their clients. So that's that. Again, dude, does represent a buying opportunity in my view, because long term, I believe, blockchain technology is here to stay, and we're definitely going to see a lot of momentum back up to all-time highs for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Um, Hearing a lot about Apple and Neo partnership rumors. Oh man, that would be incredible if that actually does happen. But that's true. I mean, Apple is looking for a partner, and Neo is looking for a partner. Neo is probably going to announce a partner at Neo Day on December 18th. Apple's got a long-term vision till 2025. But if that actually does happen, that would be incredible. That would be the best. But again, these are only rumors. Obviously, this is all speculated news. So unless the companies actually confirm that, we can't take that to mean anything just yet. So Amazon to 3,200 due to Fed meetings. What is your thoughts? So Amazon right now it's trading at 33.88. So 3,200 is possible. I mean that's the next support at 31.82, 3,200. I would still be a buyer at those levels for Amazon. Anything 3,200, $3,000, 2,800 would be a buying opportunity for me because again I believe in the long-term prospects of the company. And from the Fed meeting, really what it comes down to is whether we're going to see an accelerated taper, meaning that they going to double their $15 billion or $30 billion dollars. Are we going to see some faster quantitative easing kind of unwinding down? And then how quickly do we expect an interest rate hike, right? When interest rates start going higher, that obviously affects the economy because it freezes some of the liquidity, and people on a net basis may not have as much disposable income to invest or spend. That slows down the economy, right? That's what it does. When you're printing so much money, so much capital is available at cheap interest rates to people, what do? They invest, they spend, economy grows. This is the complete opposite of that, right? Interest rates going up is the complete opposite, and it kind of slows down the economy, it slows down GDP growth, productivity drops a little bit. So but all of that is also important to control inflation, because on the flip side, when there's quantitative easing, inflation somewhat overheats. And that's what we're seeing right now with inflation obviously going higher. So, and in the short term basis, sure. I mean, the markets could pull back. We could see a drop on fears of interest rates going higher. We saw that back in 2013. This was all related to taper tantrum. And then 2018 also we saw that. 2015 we also saw a pullback as well. So every time interest rates have gone up, the markets have seen that as a negative and they have pulled back. But if you look at the overall trend, if you zoom out, if you look at the long term, they have continued to rally even higher. So, any type of a short-term pullback or a dip, is like a blip in the chart over the long term, in my view, and I will consider kind of dollar cost average. It's important for you to distinguish between quality companies and companies that may not have a very strong balance sheet or fundamentals to kind of weather through that volatility. So make sure that you are looking into quality companies, quality assets, and stocks in your portfolio that you kind of reassess from a risk standpoint, and understand that these are companies with strong balance sheet, great management, strong growth rates, and are like the best of the bunch. So, all right, let's take a look at Lucid. So Lucid is down a little bit over 14% right now. We did actually, I'm not sure if there's any catalyst coming out. So Lucid done. I am seeing a couple people mention about Lucid. I haven't really been keeping up with Lucid, you guys. You guys know that I haven't been following Lucid or Rivian, because I do think personally that these are companies that are very sort of overvalued right now. I know there's going to be people bullish on the stock, but unfortunately from a fundamental standpoint, there's a lot that needs to happen for these companies to justify valuations right now. For Lucid, 78, almost $80 billion market cap. Rivian, I think at one point was trading over $100 billion market cap. So I do think that there's a lot of mispricing from a stock basis and from a fundamental basis. Those are very disconnected right now. But that being said, $44 is going to be that resistance. Support level now is going to be sitting roughly at $29 to $30. Is going to be that next level to watch for Lucid right now. Let's take a look at ARKK. So ARK Invest ETF is down close to 1%. So, I did a video on ARK Invest and Kathy Wood and what she talked about in her recent YouTube video. So I would highly encourage you guys to check that out. Her video was 36 minutes long. I wanted to condense that in a nice, summary. That was only 10 minutes, 11 minutes long. And the main thesis around her analysis is that there's going to be deflation in the economy, starting very soon. And there's going to be some fear of a recession going into next year as well, because of the inventory buildup that we're seeing for all these retailers. And based on those two predictions that she has, she believes that her stocks, her innovation-based strategies, based on the 5 themes that she has, are going to quintuple, so 4x over the next 5 years, and that's going to generate about a 40% compounded annual growth rate over the next 5 years, which is obviously very aggressive, very bold prediction as well. It's very difficult to do 40%, 50% on a consistent basis. Sure, you can do 1 year 40%, 50%. Heck, you can even do 100%, 200% in a year, but to be able to do that consistently over time takes like a next level of, like, you have to be God to actually do that, because Warren Buffett's generated about 20% on an annual basis compounded every year for the last like 40, 50 years. Peter Lynch did 20%, 25%, but it's very difficult to do that on a more consistent basis, right? And plus 40% is just like next level. All right, so we got the markets opening here in just about a few seconds. So there we go. What do you guys think? Predictions coming up from you guys. What do you guys think? Red or green? Because it was interesting, because on Friday, we actually saw, from all of you guys, a lot of them predicted green because we opened 1%, 2% higher for the markets, and then we absolutely got crushed in the markets, coming down aggressively. We sold off. So very, very interesting to see how we start off another week. This week, like I said, we've only got the inflation report this Friday. And we got the FOMC meeting next week, along with another inflation report that comes out for the manufacturing and producer price index as well. VIX, however, still stays under 30, so still pretty elevated. I don't want to rule that out, because VIX at 29.30 still has the potential to go up even higher. But eventually, we all know where it's going to settle down to, right? It almost always comes down. So, all right. Green fade into red. Everything red. So let's take a quick look on the markets here, and let's see what stocks are doing well versus which ones aren't. Apple at 165, up over 2%. So that's good. Amazon up over 24 basis points. Vertex is up over 1%. Alibaba pushing higher after the brutal sell-off that we saw on Friday. So on Friday, almost every Chinese stock was down. Alibaba, I think, was down over 7 or 8% on Friday, but we're seeing that nice small recovery for the stock right now. But let's take a quick look. Let's scan through the markets here. So we got Mara down over 8%. Not a surprise. Bitcoin's coming down. It's very correlated with Bitcoin, so it's down over 9%. Fubo down another 5% to $16.70. We got Coinbase also selling off. So Bitcoin, Coinbase, they're both kind of related with each other. We've talked about this in the past. We exited both Coinbase and Mara weeks ago. But Coinbase once again coming down to levels where I would be very interested in. Nvidia down over 4.6%. We got Growth Generation, Peloton, Plug Power, AMC, Unity Software. Upstart is down to 163, down another 4.6% here. Palantir is down to $18, almost $18 here. Shopify is down another 3%. AMD, Square, Tesla. For the most part, you'll notice all these names have something very, very similar. They all have something that's very common. Can anybody tell me what that is? What is so common between these companies? Fubo TV, Nvidia. We got Square, Palantir, Shopify, AMD, Tesla. What's common among these companies? Fiverr is down, right? SoFi is pulling back. ARKG. Muhammad got it. It's high valuation. Growth stocks, yes. I mean, these are growth stocks. I would still put Amazon, Apple, like in the growth bucket. These are still growth stocks, but the valuation, rich valuation, right? So Snapchat, ARKG is down 1.3. Tattooed Chef is down a little bit over 1%. But what is actually green? We got Walgreens, we got CVS, we got Foot Locker. Foot Locker is actually very, very good valuation. If you come over to Foot Locker, and if you take a look at this, only 5 times earnings, less than 1 time sales, just a little bit over 4.6 times enterprise value to EBITDA. So low valuation. CVS, Ulta, Southwest, doing good today, right? So up over 3%. I would still consider Southwest as a low valuation stock. Vertex, low valuation. Visa, kind of borderline. I would say like it's still rich valuation, but fortunately it is doing well today so far. But for the most part, I feel like the ones that are red are some of the higher valuation names that do trade at rich multiples. So most of you guys got it perfectly. They are a little bit a high valuation. So let's take a look at the markets here. Wow, the Nasdaq absolutely tumbled over 41 basis points here, so just went in the red. We're just hovering over 15,000, and then we got S&P 500 just slightly green, up over 39 basis points, and value side of the trade, Dow Jones up over 91 basis points. And this is exactly what Cathie Wood's betting against. She's like she literally, said it. She said that value stocks are the ones that will get hurt. They are the ones that are value traps right now. And of course, some of her positions in the innovation-based strategies, ARKK, ARKG, some of those ones are just like ready. This is like the prime time. These are her words. This is like the prime time, and these will be the big winners over the next 4 to 5 years. So very, very interesting, discussion. And of course, her analysis is very different. You don't get those point of views, very often on Wall Street, because it's very unique, right? It's a very unique point of view to have a very deflationary argument and having some recessionary scares and being invested in some of the higher growth, I would say like hyper growth, right? So these are not just growth companies, but these are like hyper growth, which she thinks are going to see exponential revenue growth and earnings growth as well. So time will tell. It's either going to be a big win or it's going to be a big win or a big loss for her. But either way, she's also exploring short opportunities, which I think is going to be ARK Invest on steroids. So, that is also going to be very interesting. But wow, we got ARKK down over 4% right now. How is Tesla doing? Let's take a look. So Tesla, wow, so 970. So we're down a little bit over 4.4%. So Tom, joined your course. Can you sign the course member role? Yes, I will do that. I will, right after this live stream. Glad that you send me a message. I will assign you the role so you have access to all the private channels over there. But yeah, Tesla definitely coming down here. 4.3%, not a small drop. It is a pretty reasonable drop for the company right now. And of course, Nasdaq very quickly. I mean, within 10 minutes, we're down over 75 basis points. At one point, we were, green. And S&P is also coming down. Dow is relatively staying up there, pretty flat. So Amazon down over 1%. We got Apple green still, but pulling back. Tesla, let's take a look at AMD. So AMD is also coming down to 137 now. 137 is actually a support for us, if I'm not mistaken, for AMD, or maybe it's 134. Yeah, 134 is actually a support for advanced micro devices. So Robinhood, I've actually not done a fundamental analysis. From the get-go, from the IPO, I mentioned that I'm not really interested in this stock personally. So like a starter, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate that. But Robinhood, as I said, this is a very competitive market, right? If you're in the fintech space, in the brokerage, sector, like SoFi is competing, Robinhood, then we got some traditional brands like TD Ameritrade, Fidelity. Like, I like Robinhood's platform. Like, the UI is just so simple to use. I understand why there's so much attraction towards that brokerage platform. But in terms of a long-term viability, the company and it be able to generate more revenue through other services, that still needs to be executed well, right? Robinhood still needs to kind of execute well in other areas other than just brokerage platforms, and they need to kind of release, a lot of the things that are still being asked for from the consumers, right? They just recently announced the customer support, which was one of the reasons why I left Robinhood in the first place. But to me, this is a stock that can be traded. But for me to be able to invest in the long term, I need to be more confident. And right now, that confidence level in Robinhood is really not there at the moment. All right, let's see. So NEO under 30 again. There we go. So we're starting to break down here, down under 7% right now. How's other Chinese stocks doing? Let's take a quick look. So, all right, so we got NEO, we got XPeng down over 5%. So XPeng is also down. Li Auto is down a little bit over 1% as well. So Baidu and Alibaba not doing as bad. So Alibaba is still green, up over 3.3% right now. Nvidia is down over 8%. Wow, look at that, down over 8%. Nvidia. So Nasdaq might be getting crushed right now. Yep, so Nasdaq down closer to 1%. And as we have talked about, if you come over to IXIC, this is the chart that we have talked about in our previous market updates and our live streams as well. I always tell you guys to watch on a net basis. Don't focus on the day, because on one day the markets can be green and can give you a false signal. Just look at where we started and where are we right now. So on a net basis, we might actually be entering a correction here. So there we go. We're officially almost in a correction. If the Nasdaq drops a few more points, we will officially enter a correction for the Nasdaq over 8%, which I think is a very healthy correction, and much needed correction as well for the markets, because we needed to kind of Tesla's at 958. Wow, 955 was a low for the day, so definitely breaking down below that 50 EMA and this symmetrical triangle. So we'll go ahead and turn this level back into a resistance for Tesla. So $1,000 will turn into a resistance now. Support level is going to stay put at close to 880. So, we will find out if Elon Musk is selling even more today, because, as mentioned earlier, we're a little bit over 10 million shares now that he's already sold, more than 50% of his quota, up to 17 million. But if he does plan on selling 25 million shares, then we're almost halfway there. So, he still has a long way to go to kind of, meet up with those tax obligations and tax liability that's coming up for him. So, all the selling pressure is obviously kind of putting pressure on the stock right now, and breaking down under $1,000. That was a support, and Tesla obviously coming down even further, making a new low of day by the second. I got the Nasdaq down almost 1% again. Like I said, we're almost officially entering a correction on the Nasdaq, which I think is very, very needed, very healthy, and will represent buying opportunities for us. PayPal down over 2% now, just reaching 180, 179 levels here. So 170 is going to be that next support level. Did PayPal hit 900 for a second? I don't think it did. 900? Yeah, that would be a crazy price. So what is Elon building with all that cash? That's also very interesting, right? What is Elon Musk going to do with the cash that he has after selling and paying for the taxes that he owes? Then that's going to be another debate, right? Because he's got billions of dollars on the sidelines now, or possibly he's already looking to invest it somewhere. It could be SpaceX, could be other ventures, or could be back into Tesla shares as well, right? He could buy just Tesla back, but that's a question that still needs to be answered. And honestly, I don't have the answer for you, what Elon Musk plans on doing with his cash. So, all right, let's see how's the damage looking so far. We got Mara down over 12.8%. So this stock has just been so volatile. I cannot believe how volatile this company has been. So, of course, very, very correlated with Bitcoin. Our original entry was in the $27, $25 range. We rode it all the way up to $62. We exited fully, and just in a matter of month. I mean, the last time we saw Mara at all-time highs was $83, was November 9th. And within a month, the stocks dropped over 56%. You got like a bear flag forming here, and then another breakdown below those moving averages. So right now, breaking below that 200 SMA. So the next support level is going to be that 300 SMA, roughly $28, $29 for the company right now. But yeah, just overall, a lot of damage in the markets. You got Nvidia down over 7%, Fubo TV down over 5.5%, Coinbase is down over 6%, Neo's down over 5% as well. Upstart is down over 5%. Another one, Upstart, which we exited, at 330s because of the higher valuation. So I do think if it does come down to like 110s again, I mean, that would be the same price as we bought it originally. So I might as well just jump in on Upstart. And the only thing that's happened between this price and this right now is the fundamentals have grown, and the valuation obviously took off, like a rally here all the way up to $400. It got too expensive, and now it's come back down. So fundamentals have grown in that time, and the stock price hasn't moved at all, right? If it does come down to 110 is what I'm saying. Like if it does come down to 110, that means the stock price hasn't moved at all in about 6 months, but the fundamentals have grown significantly. So it will start to become very, very attractive at those levels once again. So, all right, that's that. We got Lemonade down, Tesla down over 4%. We got AMD down almost 5%. This one also hurts a little bit, but it was due. RSI was overbought, MACD was overbought. We've been talking about it during our market update. So 134 is going to be that next support level to watch right now for advanced micro devices. Square is down to 175. Palantir is absolutely getting destroyed here, down about 3.5%, just coming down to $17 again. Then we got Enphase, SoFi pulling back under $15. And that's the thing, I got a lot of criticism about SoFi too, and I put out my video. I put a price target of close to, I believe, forgot what it was. I think it was like 40 bucks or something. 5 years out. 5 years out, 40 bucks from I think $24. I think there was like a 77% upside, which I implied on the stock 5 years out. But right now, again, the valuation is so very important. Price to sales, it was trading at 18. Now we've come down to probably 12 or 10, which I think is far more reasonable than where we were before. So $15 is going to be that support level. It's going to be important for us to see if we actually validate that level right now or not. Let's see. Apple is up over 3%. So we're seeing how are the yields doing? I want to take a look at the yields. So the yields are still somewhat green, but if you take a look at, I mean, of course we sold off on Friday, and right now we're not that green. So TLT is still getting bid up right now. The bond prices are still getting bid up. That is still the market's way of going risk off, and they're moving away from riskier assets and higher valuation names, including cryptos. I mean, Ethereum's still down over 4%, Bitcoin's still down over 2%. And as I said earlier, the riskier stocks, or the higher valuation, I shouldn't call them riskier, but the higher valuation stocks are still, getting the most of that damage. And some of the safer names like Apple, still green up over 2.8%, which we also covered here. One of the first things that we brought up was here. Why a fearful stock market invested in Apple like it was a bond, right? And that is the market's most highly valued company is not a government bond, is now holding less in reserves on the balance sheet due to the stock buybacks, but its cash generation is roughly 100 billion annually. And for some investors, moving to Apple during market volatility is like raising cash. So that's what we're really going through right now, is that Apple is seen as like a safe haven stock at the moment, as we kind of weather through all this volatility with the monetary fiscal policy, Fed meeting coming up. So over the next couple of weeks are very critical. And I also mentioned this to our Discord community, that next couple of weeks are very, very critical. And if you can kind of hold off on making very aggressive decisions until we have some more clarity on those policies. Right. Enphase, we'll take a look. Let's see. So Enphase down about 2% here. We did exit a little bit on Enphase because the valuation got a little bit out of hand here. So 220 is going to now turn into a resistance for the stock. RSI is coming down. MACD is coming down. I think the next support levels we can definitely... let me just put the charger on real quick. But the valuations definitely is coming down for the stock. But 220 is going to be that next resistance. And of course, the support levels we're going to find somewhere around those moving averages. Possibly like 190 is going to be that next support level to keep in mind for Enphase. Sold my Lucid out for 110% profit. Ryan, that's incredible. Congratulations on those gains. Let's see. Let's take a look at PayPal again. So let's go to our banking watch list. So banks. So look at that. All banks are green. That's incredible. And that's, again, because of possibly rate hikes are getting priced in. So we're getting Wells Fargo, Deutsche Bank. Visa is surprisingly green. On a day like today, you wouldn't expect Visa to be higher, but we got Visa also up. MasterCard is up. But PayPal and Square, some of the two fintech names, are down, and you'll notice that Square, which was at a higher valuation, down more than PayPal, which obviously has contracted already, and is now trading at roughly a reasonable valuation. I think 8 or 9 times sales. Forward earnings are less than 50, I think. So we're trading at about $182, which I think is far more reasonable than where we were at $300 per share, right? So I think that's why we're seeing some mispricing here between Square and PayPal. Square is down more because of the higher valuation that it was already trading at. That's why I feel like I can make a case for NVIDIA and AMD as well. So NVIDIA obviously is down more, 6.7%, even after receiving an upgrade today. So NVIDIA actually got a coverage from one of the... So right here, City names NVIDIA as a top 2022 pick. So even after coming out with a new buy target or like a new top pick, NVIDIA is still pulling down over 7% because of the higher valuation on the stock. Baba's up over 5%, so that's a very, very strong and a very nice move for Alibaba. But of course, eventually, overall trend has just been consistent selling pressure here for Alibaba. But like 108 was just a ridiculous price for the company. Like absolutely insane how low the stock price got. And as I said in our previous live stream, there's some big names that are in Alibaba and a lot of other Chinese companies, right? Charlie Munger's one, Ray Dalio, NYU Stern's Dean of Valuation, Aswad Damodran. He's also looking into buying Alibaba. So there's some big names in some of these Chinese companies, right? Because people see the valuation and they look at these ridiculous prices and where they're trading at, which represents nothing but a buying opportunity. Of course, if you can understand the regulatory risk of China, if you're comfortable with that, then there's a lot of potential for companies like Alibaba in the future. So Apple's still up close to 3%. Amazon seeing some type of a recovery here. Nvidia still down. Tesla recovering a little bit, just back over 980. But then we got Upstart, Fubo, Unity Software, Roblox, Mara. Everything else is still down. Yes, so DocuSign, we'll cover that. Let's take a quick look how that stock is doing right now. So bouncing off of 131 after the 40% plus drop that we saw on Friday. The earnings, like I said in that video, were actually not bad. They have a very, very soft miss on future guidance. I think might have been just only a couple $1 million. But the amount of downgrades that the company received was just incredible. And we've seen that time and time again. If the company misses their future guidance, so revenue beat, EPS beat, that's kind of like needs to happen, right? That's given for most companies. If that doesn't happen, I mean, forget about a rally, right? If that's beat, that's good. Then Wall Street looks at future guidance, right? What is the company guiding us for? And if they miss on those numbers, then the stock gets punished. And not only that, I was surprised to just find out how sensitive these models were from Wall Street when they're pricing in future growth. Is that a few $1 million miss here and there can really throw off their targets so much that, we learned about some of the downgrades coming in from 360 all the way down to 220. I mean, those are like significant downgrades. It's not like a few dollars here and there. It's just, the price got cut left and right, for so many analysts. So, I do expect DocuSign from a technical standpoint to see some type of a recovery, but I think the valuation is still on the high end at 23 times sales, 90 times cash flow. It's still a little bit rich for the company. So, but I do think, this is a very, very strong overreaction. Again, from a technical standpoint, wouldn't be surprised to see some recovery here on the stock. 131 seems to be getting validated as a support. And 180 is going to be that next resistance to watch for the company right there. Let's see. Pinterest is green. So finally, somewhat green, up over 60 basis points. Of course, this is one of my worst performing stocks right now. So we'll see how this does over the next few quarters. But of course, year to date down about 45%. I'm down, I think, a little bit over 30% on Pinterest as well right now. So definitely not a very good look with Pinterest. So seems the markets are recovering a little bit, right? So we got the Dow Jones rallying over 467 points. We got the S&P up over 0.5%, and we got the Nasdaq also up over 21 basis points right now. Let's take a look at the markets here on FinViz. So let's just go to the maps. So for the most part, we have Tesla that's down the most, and then we got AMD and Nvidia also coming down the most. Then we got Apple up, Microsoft, the entire real estate sector. Energy has been doing well. So energy, I feel like oil prices are seeing some type of recovery here. So we did see a sell-off in both Brent and crude, but now they're starting to push higher a little bit. So Chevron, Exxon, they're both green. Home Depot's higher. So we got some of the consumer defensive names. So Coca-Cola, Pepsi, they're all pushing higher on the day. Then we got all the banks with Wells Fargo leading the way, up over 2.8%. And then some of the software companies like Salesforce, Fortinet's also down over 2.8%. AMD, Xilinx, Nvidia, some of the higher valuation names down. Moderna also down over 8% today. Wow. But if you come over to the valuation here, forward PE, you'll notice that they have contracted somewhat for a lot of companies, right? Apple's definitely come down. Amazon's definitely come down. It was over 75 or 80 levels. Google's somewhat the same. Facebook's definitely come down. I mean, 21, it's like stupid cheap for Facebook. I mean, it was at over 28 or 29. I think it was very similar to like Apple at one point and even Google, but it's right now, it's definitely come down after the sell-off. Microsoft, arguably, still trades at somewhat of a rich valuation, but of course, it's got such strong fundamentals that it demands a higher multiple. Adobe at 43. Adobe saw a big sell-off on Friday, right? So I think it was down over like 8% or something. Down a little bit over 8.2% on Friday. So again, valuation can really do you good or do you harm depending on what type of valuations are we buying at. So year to date, still the stock is up over 22%, so that's good. No, Moderna down 8%. Did I say 80%? I thought it was like 8%. I said 8%. So what price would you have strong conviction to buy AMD and Nvidia, Caddy? AMD, I would be comfortable at closer to $100. Again, if I were to buy it, because I still have a position in this long position on AMD. I've been trimming a little bit as the price was moving higher, but if I were to buy more and dollar cost average up, I think $100 would be a reasonable price. But, you know, are we going to see that? You know, that's a good 40% discount from all-time highs and a good 28% drop from here. So wouldn't mind buying at those levels. Wouldn't even mind at 110 possibly, but it would be very small, amount of shares if I were to dollar cost average up from those levels. For Nvidia, a lot of people would probably not like the answer for Nvidia, so I'm probably not gonna say it. But yeah, my buy target for Nvidia is gonna be like down there. It's gonna be pretty down there. So obviously don't wanna overpay or chase the stock. The momentum's been very good. The technicals have been phenomenal for the company, no doubt. It's just been doing incredibly well in 2021. So, you know, it's up over 121%. So we'll see. We'll see if it actually does come down. Nvidia, take it or leave it. I'm probably not gonna say it because I know that my price targets sometimes can be ridiculous, like ridiculously cheap or ridiculously low. That it takes time. It takes a lot of time and patience to actually see as prices come down there. So NEO turning green looks like. So we got NEO pushing higher. Now back over to $32. So that's a lot of buyers kind of stepping in for the stock. That's good. Maxim knows what my buy target is. So NEO, a lot of buyers stepping in. That's good. Amazon still down over 1%. We got Tesla still pulling back a little bit over 3.7%. So yeah, I mean, the market's growth and higher val still taking a little bit of a pullback, but overall the market seems to be recovering slightly. We got Nasdaq still down just about 24 basis points. S&P still up over 0.5%. Dow Jones pushing up over 1.3%. It's very, very interesting because this is exactly the opposite of what Kathy was talking about, on the after the jobs report came out. And I know that this is going to take a long time. It's going to take some time for her to see the strategies execute, for the markets to realize what she's talking about, if she's right. But yeah, I mean, this is just a good example of how markets are kind of concentrating over towards some of the safer, lower valuation names versus they're ditching some of the higher valuation. And typically these would be the stocks that are in Kathy Wood portfolios, right? Tesla, we got Nvidia, we got Roblox, we got Unity Software, Robinhood, Square, some of those companies that are in there. So, Parag, do you agree market is 80% gambling, 20% technical? I wouldn't put gambling in there. Definitely not gambling. Well, it can be, depending on what you're trading or how you're investing your money, it can certainly turn into gambling. But, you know, as long as you do your research, it's like with anything else, right? There's a market for everything. There's a market for cars, there's a market for houses, there's a market for stocks, right? It can turn into gambling for pretty much everything. But if you do your research, if you understand what you're buying, if you understand what you're selling, then it certainly is not gambling at all. It's, you know, you're just taking calculated decisions based on your research. So, all right. Yep, NEO definitely fighting the volatility. This is another chart that I wanted to go over. This is on the month. Let's just take a quick look on the week. So last 3 weeks, the Nasdaq has certainly underperformed the Dow, right? So this is what this chart represents. And the last time we saw that, this was 4 straight weeks of underperformance starting in September till October. And I think the Nasdaq did correct last time there. So this is, very, very good analysis here in terms of the Nasdaq coming down over 7.8, almost entering a correction between September and October, and that was the same time when we saw the Nasdaq somewhat underperformed here relative to the Dow Jones. And what happened after that? 5 weeks of straight rally for growth and for Nasdaq stocks. And right now we're in week 3 of a pullback relative to the Dow Jones, possibly even the next week because of December 15th, that deadline when that's the FOMC meeting. Jerome Powell is going to come out, he's going to talk about monetary policy, whether there's going to be any accelerated taper. And then after that, the market has more clarity to kind of allocate funds moving forward. So, possibly we could see some more potential downside on a relative basis, but eventually, like I said, if you take a look at this chart, just overall trend of this pattern, right? It's a nice uptrend. It's just pushing higher. What does that mean? That means the Nasdaq historically has always outperformed the Dow Jones, right? This is just pushing higher. And sometimes, yes, sometimes the Dow takes over, and this is just a lot of outperformance after the tech and telecom bust. And since till 2002, and this was exactly what was also mentioned in the Kathy Wood video, where she talks about how value stocks ripped right after the tech and telecom bust because growth stocks and anything related to tech was under pressure. It sold off significantly, but eventually, growth and tech kind of led the way, and it has been for a very long time. So, I do think it's important for us to keep a close eye on this. If it continues to sell off and the Nasdaq continues to underperform, that is an opportunity for us to buy moving forward. All right, so Autodesk, let's take a quick look. So Autodesk also had this was another stock, right? So I think Autodesk and DocuSign can be put into a same category of stocks that reported good numbers, good earnings, but then got significant price cuts for no reason. And, one of the interesting things about just stocks falling on price cuts is that nobody talks about the upgrades or the reiterations from Wall Street, right? Even on PayPal, I mean, this was crazy. If you take a look at PayPal stock, I still remember that we were seeing that nice recovery right here. So we were pushing higher from $200. What happened during this week? During the week of November 17th, can you guys tell me in the live chat, what happened for PayPal right here during that week of November 17th and 18th? Why did it start selling off on that week? So let me know let me see if anybody remembers for PayPal. So, yep, Zihu got it, downgrade. So it got downgraded from Bernstein. And the interesting thing is it got downgraded from Bernstein, but it also got upgraded from 3 or 4 different analysts, but it still sold off on that one piece of news, which was crazy to think about. And, same thing happened with Autodesk as well. I feel like it got downgraded significantly. 267 is going to be that next resistance right now. We got a huge gap to fill. And the valuation is still a little bit on the high end, I would say. Obviously, on a comparative basis relative to other companies, it's not that much, but it's still a little bit on the high end for Autodesk. So 215 is going to be that support. There's also going to be some type of a support, seems to be getting validated at 250 levels. Resistance is going to stay put at close to 267 for the company. Alex, Square. So Square definitely is very, very attractive right now, coming down to that level. $200 was a previous support, which you validated once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, several times. But if you take a look at the valuation for Square, let's just quickly go over that. So come over to the valuation, you'll notice that it still trades at, price earnings on a non-GAAP basis forward, 106, right? And we're trading at price to sales at just under 5, which is actually better. It's actually not that bad. So under 5 times sales on a forward basis is very good, but price to earnings is high. Enterprise value to EBITDA 84.5. That's still a little bit on the high end for the company. And then we got price to cash flow is 102. So it really depends if you're comfortable paying these valuations for Square stock. I think it's a super high growth stock because if you come over to the growth, you'll notice very strong numbers coming in. So revenue growth forward 103%. Year over year, 118%, EBITDA growth 2,000%. So, EPS over 51%. So, the growth is very strong. Operating cash flow is expected to grow over 146%. So, it really depends what you're comfortable paying in terms of growth. I think the valuation is still a little bit on the high end. I wouldn't mind kind of starting a small position and then dollar cost averaging down to 150s. That's the next support level that I have on the stock. But resistance is going to stay put at close to $200 right now, and it's kind of following the same footsteps of PayPal, selling off in the fintech space right now, down about 40% from all-time highs, down over 18% year to date as well. Yeah, I mean, from cybersecurity, I definitely want to. My buy target, you guys already know, is 170. We had this rising wedge pattern, then we got this huge breakdown for CrowdStrike. And CrowdStrike, if I were to get into cybersecurity, I would think that CrowdStrike would be the first places where I would start. But very similar to Square, if you come over here, I think CrowdStrike's even even worse, trading at over, let's see, over 330 times forward earnings, so really really high. Then we got price to sales trading at over 31. That's really rich. Enterprise value to EBITDA over 185, and we got price to cash flows at over 88 as well. So, ideally we want these numbers to be a lot lower. But CrowdStrike's got a 170 support and a buy target for me here, previous support level that we validated. Wouldn't mind kind of starting a small position, then kind of nibbling in, but be ready and be prepared for a further drop if the valuation were to contract for the stock. So, 120 would be next as a support for CrowdStrike, but 170 is kind of like that first level. So hope that kind of answers your question. You can certainly average in and dollar cost averaging, kind of nibble in, but just make sure that you understand where the valuation is and how much room potentially there could be for further downside on the stock. All right, let's take a quick look on the markets here. Nasdaq still down over 40. We got the S&P now pulling back, still green though. Dow Jones still up over 1.2%, and we got a lot of stocks still red, but there's a lot of companies that are also green. Alibaba's up over 6%. Apple's up over 3%. Ulta, Baidu, DraftKings finally pushing up a little bit. Finally seeing some green after so long. DraftKings. Of course, the stock has just been on a consistent sell-off on a weekly basis. I mean, you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 straight weeks. That's like 3 months of consistent selling. Not a single buyer present. Maybe we did see this 1 week that was up over 1%, but 12 weeks of consistent selling pressure here for DraftKings. So it definitely, in my opinion, deserves some momentum to the upside right now. So waiting for Tesla to hit my order at 910. 950 was a low point for today. So definitely seeing a lot of momentum to the downside and breaking below 50 EMA as well. Alex, so for Nvidia, really depends where you're comfortable. I am personally watching 162. And again, I mentioned earlier, it might be very, very, very low for some people. You may not want to wait, and the price may never get there. But that's the price point that I'm very, very comfortable. I'm confident for Nvidia at closer to those levels. Of course, that would be a significant drop here, and you don't have to follow my footsteps anyway. Like 162 is kind of just my target. Yours can be like 200, 210, 225, whatever valuation you find it comfortable at for that stock. Let's see. LEV is green, so Southwest. Yep, Southwest pushing higher. A lot of the airlines have just been back and forth. I think I read an article this morning that was reported that the new variant is not going to be that much of a problem. Of course, the symptoms are really mild, but I think that's one of the reasons why airlines are pushing higher today. American's up over 7%. United Airlines also up close to 7%. Delta is up over 6.4%, and then we got Southwest that's up over 3.7%. So a lot of the airlines getting bought up here. Suarez, Caddy, tell us some highlights on your UK trip so far. I'm pretty sure nobody wants to hear that right now. We got about 900 people watching. I'm sure nobody wants to hear about me talking about the UK and my trip, but it was absolutely incredible. I loved every bit of it. Every thing was amazing from the start till so far. It was just amazing, and I watched. I got to watch Ronaldo twice, so both seats were incredible. The first time was just right behind the goal. Caught him, scored twice, and celebrate his trademark celebration. So that was just incredible. The best experience of my life. And then yesterday's game against Crystal Palace was kind of like, okay, we only won like 1-0, so didn't really have much action going on. But the Arsenal game was definitely a lot of fun. And then of course, went to London, had a lot of fun there. Going to Italy in 8 days. That's great. That's awesome. Safe travels. Hope you enjoy a lot. Um, I heard they serve warm beer. No, they don't. Definitely cold pints, and I've been having a lot of them actually. So that's why I have to really work out too. Been working out like crazy every morning, trying to burn those calories. Um, but anyway, so let's take a quick look on the markets, and then I'll jump over to our Discord here shortly to send out some updates and alerts very soon. But we got the Nasdaq still red, pretty much flat so far, not doing really thing. We got the S&P still up over 0.5%. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. 170, 175. Yeah, Apple really reaching the target, 175 almost. So again, that was the target, like 2022 target, just given where the valuation is. However, I do want to point out that this is a target without any penetration for EV. So I've not accounted for any electric vehicle penetration from Apple, which is obviously not going to be the case. We know that Apple's working with different manufacturers. They're possibly going to announce a partnership very soon, and Project Titan's been under a lot of secrecy since 2015. So once that news comes out, very excited to learn more about the car itself, the design, the technology, who's going to be manufacturing them, how much involvement is Apple going to have, what type of price points are we going to see. So all that will get discounted, and I'm sure my price target will eventually go up. Dan Lives increased his price target to 200 from 175. And he expects 40 million iPhone sales in Q4, calendar year 2021, and that's going to be Q1 for Apple, fiscal year 2022. So his target's 200, mine's at 175, but that's without any type of electric vehicle penetration here. Let's see, the VIX is under 30 still, just down about 4.89%, but still pretty elevated, right? So it's not like we're seeing a selling pressure here in the volatility. So it's not like we're coming down because the markets are just about flat here on the day. So somewhat moved to the upside here on the S&P or the Nasdaq. Suarez, thank you so much. I really appreciate that tip. I will definitely check that out. Fish and chips, I've seen the signs everywhere. I've really not tried that yet, but feels like I should definitely before I leave. So I'll definitely make sure to check that out. Apple will partner with NIO. So yeah, that could be a big catalyst for both companies. Of course, it's only speculation right now. So if that actually does happen, that would be incredible for Apple and for NIO. Alibaba's up over 7%. Nvidia is still down over 6.4. We got Bitcoin and Ethereum still pulling back a little bit. Let's take a quick look on some of the cybersecurity stocks. So cybersecurity all around are down. So CrowdStrike, Fortinet, we got Ping Identity, Zscaler, Okta. They're all pulling down here a little bit. And then banks are still green with some of the fintech names like PayPal and Square still down. Some of the dividend stocks, they're mostly value stocks. They're all green. So Walgreens finally Walgreens is making a move up over 3%. I should be buying more Walgreens, to be honest. I should have bought more in this dip. Kind of missed the opportunity here, but up over 3%, back over $47, $48 right now. So that's good. Next target is going to be $51, $52 on Walgreens right now. All right, guys. So thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate you guys' support a lot. Make sure that you do check out the Patreon link down in the description below if you want to join our private Discord. We've got a little bit over 3,500 members there, talking about the markets, trading, investing pretty much all the time. And you will access our buy and sell alerts, the market updates channel, the swing trading ideas. We've got a couple of them coming up very soon with UPRO, TQQQ if the markets pull back. And of course, all the other private channels as well, 7 to 8 private channels, including price targets, including news channels, and our TradingView alerts and the calendar updates as well. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great, fantastic green day and a great start to the week. The market seems to be pushing higher. Hopefully they don't sell off after I turn off the live stream here. But now the Nasdaq's turned green as well. So very strong move in the Nasdaq moving forward. So thank you so much for being here. Hope you guys have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions over at our Discord or message me on Patreon as well. I will make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. And also make sure that you check out the links down in the description below. So take care. I'll see you guys.